Yo, what's going on guys, it's Cynical and welcome back to another video. Today for you guys, I wanted to give you more so of a general gaming video, but also talk about something specifically to do with Square Enix, one of their upcoming titles, and also a title that people have been waiting almost 5 years for at this point to get another update on, and that is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Boys, it is possible that perhaps maybe in about a day and a half, we could finally have the next juicy slice of whereabouts the Final Fantasy VII Remake is at, but don't get your knickers too much in of an excitement twist, because it's very possible at the same time something towards the Final Fantasy VII Remake might not actually end up coming out. Now, in case you guys don't know, PlayStation are going to be hosting their second episode of State of Play, which essentially at this point is like a PlayStation Direct. Now, in case you guys didn't check out the very first PlayStation State of Play, this happened back in March of this year, and the reception towards it honestly wasn't really too good, mainly because PlayStation decided to use this as a means of focusing a lot on upcoming VR titles. And while I love VR, I appreciate VR, I have a PlayStation VR of my own, and it is cool to see that PlayStation is supporting the living nipples out of their VR side of things, I think people had some pretty damn high expectations for what could have possibly been shown during the very first State of Play. While there was a slight update on like Days Gone and that really cool classic skins trailer for CTR, it was extremely VR focused. So the hope this time around is that PlayStation sort of sway away from the VR side of things, and because we are getting close to that of E3, hopefully they do give us something a little bit more juicy this time around. Keeping in mind, PlayStation are not actually attending E3 this year, so this State of Play could actually be quite good, although at the same time, this episode is actually only going to be a 10-minute stream, opposed to the very first State of Play, which was almost 20 minutes. So not exactly a lot of time to show off a lot of stuff, but also keeping in mind, these are very snappy streams. It's essentially showing one trailer after another. So while it is only 10 minutes, with the sort of format that State of Play uses, similar to a Nintendo Direct, that is enough time to show off quite a few new upcoming titles, or titles that we have known about for some time that need some further updates, and of course a new trailer to show exactly where the title is. Like the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, what has been officially said by PlayStation is they said PlayStation Worldwide Studios will be showing off an extended look at Medieval, as well as a first look at a new title, and we'll have other updates and announcements from upcoming PS4 games. That's a good start because there's no mention of VR anywhere within that line, so that's a good start. So first things first, we should expect an update towards Medieval, which is really cool. This was announced last year, the fact that they're actually going ahead and they're remaking Medieval from the ground up, remake, remaster sort of thing, but this is exciting for the people who obviously had a lot of nostalgia time with Medieval back in the PlayStation 1 days. For me personally, I didn't really dip into Medieval too much. I did play that first like graveyard level, but it's not like a super nostalgic game to me. Cool to see that Sony are actually going ahead and fully remaking this from the ground up. So most likely get some gameplay and whatnot towards that. Also a brand new title as well, and this is quite exciting considering at this point there is really only 3 major PS4 titles coming out that we sort of know of in the near future hopefully, and that is of course Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us Part 2, as well as Death Stranding. I also want to chuck the Final Fantasy VII Remake into the mix as well. As of right now, it's currently only confirmed for the PS4, but whether or not Square Enix, between the time of initially announcing the Final Fantasy Remake to now, whether or not they've actually sorted out something else to get the game onto Xbox, I don't know, but it's very possible considering how hard Square Enix is starting to push Final Fantasy over to the Xbox platform. But because there isn't a large amount of titles in the pipeline for specifically exclusive PlayStation titles, it's cool to see that they will be announcing a brand new title, whatever it might be. It might not be the next big AAA thing. However, that brings me over to my next point, and that is talking about the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like I was saying, people have been waiting an extremely long time to see the next slice of the 7 Remake. Considering that the last trailer that ended up releasing for the 7 Remake was back during the PlayStation Experience in 2015, it's been a hot minute. Obviously, Square Enix have gone through a little bit of a development stickiness in the sense of when they were first initially developing the Final Fantasy VII Remake, it was actually a partnership between Square Enix's Japan studio as well as another company known as CyberConnect 2. This happened back in 2017, so a little while ago, but now the Final Fantasy VII Remake is being developed entirely in-house by Square and only Square. This of course would have disrupted a little bit of the development process, but obviously not as much as when we look at something like Kingdom Hearts 3, where they literally switched the entire game engine. So personally, I don't believe that the breakup between both CyberConnect 2 and Square disrupted the development cycle of the 7 Remake overly too much. However, what we do know is Tetsuya Nomura did confirm that once Kingdom Hearts 3's development came to closure, he'd be completely and utterly focusing on the development of course, the 7 Remake, as of course he is a director for it. And of course, we're now living in times where Kingdom Hearts 3 is out, and I'd say probably since Kingdom Hearts 3 has gone gold, which ended up happening back in November of last year, Tetsuya Nomura has probably since been heavily focusing on overseeing the development of the 7 Remake. Not only that, but he did mention at E3 last year that development is going extremely smoothly for the game and that no disruptions have actually been caused for the actual development cycle. So all around, when looking towards the development of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, it seems to be that it is actually progressing nicely. So speaking of which, how does this sort of play into PlayStation's state of play? Well, the other day when PlayStation announced their State of Play 2 over on Twitter, Shinji Hashimoto, which you guys should know that name, a very familiar name, he acts as the brand manager for the Final Fantasy series, and was also the executive producer of the Kingdom Hearts series, but unfortunately has since stepped down from that role, ended up suspiciously subtweeting PlayStation's State of Play tweet, saying, "Oh, you've come." Now, when it comes to this kind of stuff, never look into it too much, but again, at the same time, it's fucking hard not to, considering that the next major title for Square that should ideally be releasing will be the Final Fantasy VII Remake, along with like the Avengers project, but at this point, if it's to do with Shinji Hashimoto, makes more sense that it'd be Final Fantasy related, right? Now, what this means, we don't know, but from what he says, it almost seems as if, oh, you come, as if he's sort of been waiting for this State of Play to happen. The other intriguing thing to throw into the mix is that the official Final Fantasy Twitter account ended up posting a picture of Final Fantasy VII with Cloud at the Chocobo farm. The thing to keep in mind with this Twitter account is that it usually only promotes like upcoming or currently released Final Fantasy games. They never really post out just random pictures or stills from the Final Fantasy games. It's usually always used for advertisement. So to just out of the blue post a Final Fantasy VII picture like that, and yeah, I do realize that Final Fantasy VII has recently released on Switch, but still, you know, a couple of days before the State of Play, and at the same time Shinji Hashimoto's saying some like cryptic stuff. I don't know, gets a man thinking. Gets a man thinking. I also do think that if they were to show the next slice of the Final Fantasy VII Remake during the State of Play, I think from here on forwards, people would take the State of Plays 180% serious, and would of course be a good way to get State of Play back into people's minds, with them not thinking, okay, this is just used as a VR showcase, but can from time to time have some extremely juicy stuff a part of it. Like I said though, the stream itself is only going to run for about 10 minutes, so for each game that is going to get some announcements or a new trailer, they can only have so much time to display something. It wouldn't even surprise me though if the Final Fantasy VII Remake got something, but it wasn't a fully fledged trailer, more so of a sort of tease for E3. And then at E3, Square Enix stepped forward to properly and completely announce a brand new Final Fantasy VII Remake trailer. The other thing to keep in mind is the Final Fantasy VII Orchestra is happening shortly before E3, which could be a prime spot for them to show the trailer. The one last thing I'd like to mention specifically about Shinji Hashimoto is whenever he is like subtweeting some kind of event that's coming up with some sort of cryptic thing, it does actually generally mean that there is something going on and not just him showing his interest, as we've seen with all of the events that happened towards the end of 2018 to do with possible places where New Kingdom Hearts 3 stuff could have been shown. For those events like, you know, XO18, he was kind of teasing that. It ended up being that a New Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer was shown there, along with a few other events that he ended up sort of teasing or hinting towards over on Twitter. So don't expect something to do with Final Fantasy VII, but at the same time, I think it is possible, just considering how dang long it's been, and that E3 is right around the corner. One way or another though, I definitely do feel as if 2019 is going to be host to finally the next wave of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like I said, just considering that in terms of the FF7 Remake, it is the next big major title for Square Enix over on their Japan side of things. At the start of most years, a lot of different Square Enix producers as well as directors like to give keywords for that year through an issue of Famitsu. Specifically for Tetsuya Nomura, who is obviously directing the 7 Remake, as well as Yoshinori Kitase, who is the producer for the 7 Remake, their keywords undoubtedly pointed towards that of the 7 Remake, with Tetsuya Nomura's being 7, which just a straight clear indication of the 7 Remake, and Kitase's being long awaited, again definitely pointing towards the remake, considering the fact that even prior to the official announcement of the 7 Remake back in 2015, this is something that people have wanted since 7 first came out all those years ago. So even if we don't see anything during the actual state of play, I would say definitely expect something to do with further 7 Remake information throughout this year. Fingers crossed it is an actual trailer. Now guys, that's all from me. I just wanted to bring this sort of state of play video to you guys to bring it to your attention, if in case you guys didn't know about it. It'll be interesting to see what other kind of updates towards some other upcoming PS4 games we'll end up seeing, as of course PlayStation confirmed we will be getting further stuff on upcoming games, so it makes me think, you know, Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, as well as Death Stranding, although whether or not we're going to be getting trailers for all 3 of those major titles, I highly doubt that, to be fair, but at least one of them, it's quite possible. Now guys, in the comment section down below, please do share your thoughts and opinions. With all that being said, I'm Cynical. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.